Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for Power Rangers Dino Fury Episode 7. This was Stego Search, this episode. Obviously, you can tell by the title, revolved around the Black Ranger finally finding his Zord, and as such was a Black Ranger focus episode. And I thought it was fairly solid. There was definitely one little problem I had with it. But basically you have everybody searching for the Stego Zord except for Javi, who's in the park because he's just bought a guitar and he starts performing, and everyone kind of unrealistically starts gathering around him. Because I mean, like, it felt like it wasn't that good, but everyone kind of starts forming around him to watch him play and record him. And then his dad comes in and he's like, hey, my hat's way too big and you shouldn't be playing. And so his dad's kind of being a douche and he's like, oh, Javi, you never stick with anything, I'm gonna take this guitar back. And side note, I can't remember, like, I know Izzy's like high school age, but is Javi, like, can his dad even do that? Like, if he's old, like, you can't just do that. I'm my own person, you can't just take my guitar. But basically that gets Javi in a moping mood, which is where we find him from the preview clip when Izzy goes to visit him. And, you know, Boom Tower, also, speaking of from the preview clip, is fed up with Void Knight having his alone time in his special room, and he wants his power up he was promised. So he goes ahead and steals a Sporix and gets himself powered up and confronts Izzy and Javi, and then the other Rangers eventually show up and they confront Boom Tower, and Boom Tower is extra juiced up, and Izzy ends up getting hurt, but Void Knight shows up just in time to pull Boom Tower away because he's mad, like, understandably, and he leaves the Henge Knights or whatever behind to destroy the Rangers. Yeah, I'm so sure. I always find that funny when any of the villains throughout history thinks that the putties are going to destroy the Rangers. And also, again, Void Knight was understandably upset, but he could have let Boom Tower destroy the Rangers. How easy would that have been? Boom, Rangers are dead, now we can continue Void Knight's special alone time. Like, obviously, it's not gonna happen, it's a Power Rangers show, it's episode 7, but the logic of it is a bit stupid. But basically, as Javi's taking Izzy away, of which I'm not sure why he didn't teleport her away, but I know why, because they needed to run into his dad, and his dad's all mad at Javi for not taking care of her properly, and just kind of being a little bit unfair to Javi. He's like, oh, you should have protected her right. I'm like, well, shut up, your hat's too big. He gets, you know, even more mopey about it, and the Rangers are trying to figure out what's going on. And then Solon somehow finds the viral video. Like, I guess the secret is out that Solon just surfs YouTube when she's alone at the base. I kind of like that, but it's a little bit silly, but it's okay. And that's when they figure out, well, why Javi's upset. And they also figure out that earlier in the episode when they had gotten a signal on the Stego Zord briefly, and then it went away, was because Javi was playing music. And I think this is my only main problem with the episode. Like, I get it, guys. It's Power Rangers, kids show, but I thought this was a little dumb. I feel like could have been a much better reason, and I feel everything else they did in the episode could have still happened without this. I just don't know why. Like, what is it? Princess Shayla? Is that the Deer Zord? Is this Kyryuger? Like, what are you doing? You know, I don't know. I just thought that was stupid. I don't know why. Just of all the things, I thought that was stupid. Like I said, I think everything they did with Javi and what he's going through with his dad and his resolution at the end, all could have been done without that explanation. I thought it was kind of silly. Also, a real quick side note, while they were talking about Javi being upset, I don't remember if it was Pink or Blue that said, oh no, I think it was Pink that said, oh, he's being a little bit salty. And Zato misunderstood it as, like, the chip salty, like the seasoning salty, which I thought was kind of funny for his character. He had a couple little funny moments in this episode. But also it reminded me of something I wanted to discuss from last week's review, where people were kind of upset about the use of okay boomer because of Boom Tower. Like, it's right there, but because, like, they shouldn't use modern language because it's gonna date itself, and it feels like it's forced. And I agree, sometimes it can feel a little forced, but there's dozens of TV shows that aren't just kid shows that will use modern language or modern anything and seem dated. And I just want to say I don't mind it, because I would rather them feel more like they're coming from our time than what the last 10 years has felt like they were filming a show for 1993. So I actually kind of applaud them for the use of modern stuff, because that's kind of what I like about the Disney era. Sometimes it feels dated, but they also use kind of modern stuff, like, let's show these posers how it's done. Or they would even mention, like, modern day celebrities and concepts, which it does date it when you're watching it, but it also makes it feel more natural for the time than, like, they're doing it for the 90s. That was a side tangent about that. But anyway, not Javi, that is Javi. Javi, I'm finally calling him Javi instead of Chase. Victory. So anyway, Chase goes out there and he starts doing his best Princess Shayla impression while the Rangers are fighting Big Boom Tower, and he's got the upper hand, obviously, until Chase does show up with the Stego Zord, and they combine into the Stego formation, and they manage to push him back and defeat him for now. But obviously he grows small because he still isn't going to be defeated until they all combine. Nice little touch when he was on the ground with a little because he's a robot. At the end of the episode, they all meet at Buzz Blast, and Izzy's got a sling, and they all pitch in to give him a keytar, and I kind of like, it's a little bit, you know, classic PR stuff, but it wasn't exactly on the nose. Like, I like that this wasn't fully resolved, like, there wasn't some major lesson Chase learned. I mean, there was a lesson about, like, opening up to his friends, but it wasn't a lesson about, like, oh, you know, I have to stay true to myself or something. I don't know. I thought I was going to go a different direction, and I like that the stuff with his dad isn't resolved yet, although they're probably setting that up to be an arc in the show, just like Ravi with his mom and stuff like that, or Devin and his dad and stuff like that. So they didn't resolve those right away either. But I like that it wasn't put into exactly a neat bow, and it was kind of just more about him not knowing how to share with friends. But that sounds like a literally cheesy little kid PR message. I'm not talking about sharing your block. I'm talking about opening up to other people. And I kind of liked it. And then there was kind of a silly scene at the end with J-Borg dancing, and I want to address that now because I did forget to circle back to it. I said in last week's review I would circle back to Jane and J-Borg, and I actually did. In this week's Zenkaiju review, why didn't you watch it? They're not my favorite, but I'm not as annoyed by them overall as much as the previous ones because, again, I've said this before, they're not the only humor in town. I think that was mainly, or not mainly, but maybe one of the main problems with Ben and Betty and Victor and Monty. Sure, you'd have a couple lines here and there, but it seemed like all the humor hinged on their humor, and that 90% of the humor was just their slapstick. And it feels like some of the humorous moments are more spread around in this. And these guys do occasionally have their moments. Like, I found them to be mostly annoying when they were dancing with Javi during the viral video part, but it's kind of a classic bit, but I like the part where she's like, hey, you guys, I like dancing, and I don't know, I thought the delivery was funny. So they're not my cup of tea exactly, but they're not the only tea that's available to drink, if that makes any sense. But that's none of my business. Did I do that right? Speaking of humor though, alongside that, there was two funny bits in there. I like when they were dancing at the end. Zato was dancing kind of awkwardly, and I thought that was funny and very in character. I think he's doing a good job of portraying that sort of fish out of water bit. And I like how there was a time in the last few episodes where both Izzy and Javi had this, like, presumed bathroom trouble. Like, it sounds like a classic PR fart joke setup, but it's kind of funny the way it worked. And there was both, like, a setup and a punchline for, like, Javi thought it was gas, and then the dad thought it was gas in the previous episode. And then in this one, she tells him the reason Javi's not there is probably because he's in the bathroom. And then they when he gets there, they're like, oh, you know, oh, we know you have bathroom problems. And he goes, and I thought that was a really good natural reaction, and I thought that showed off some good, like, different types of humor, some good acting with good natural expressions and stuff, and I like that it was kind of a joke that had them from both sides with the bathroom, like, literal bathroom humor, so I thought that was pretty good. But overall, I did think this was a solid episode. I would give it a 3 out of 5. Like I said, I don't think it was bad or anything, it's just that whole music awakening the Zord because it ups their Ranger energy I thought was a little bit silly for me. Like, it was just awkward. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but what do you guys think? What did you think of the debut of the Stego Zord? What did you think of the return of the Princess Shayla technique? That's gonna be a new viral video, Princess Shayla-ing. I would start singing, but I don't want to scare you. But anyways, guys, until next time, I think it is the mid-season finale next week, so we'll see how that goes with Miek. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps, hitting that bell so you can get our videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.